Hi, I'm Allie, and 2 years ago, I introduced the Fruits Basket anime to my husband.
And I'm John, and as an anime only, I'm so stoked to see which of my theories are right.
And which are questionable.
So join us today as we talk about Season 3, Episode 9, What's Your Name? Alright, so where are we starting?
How do you feel?
How do you think I feel? I was an absolute mess.
Yeah.
We watch every episode like twice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the first time around, I don't think it hit me. I don't know, something was off with me.
Yeah, we had a lot of hustle and bustle today of Memorial Day activities and driving all around and doing lots of things. We didn't watch the episode until much later than it came out.
Yeah.
So we were just in a different mindset. And so I still cried and you still cried, but the emotions didn't hit you fully until the second watch.
Yeah. And so the second watch, which we just concluded.
Yes.
My eyes hurt.
Yeah, they're swollen.
Are they still swollen?
Yeah, they're still a little swollen.
Bless. So I'm a mess.
I've never seen you cry like that to an anime. Anything. Ever.
I super ugly cried.
Yeah.
But okay, how are you feeling?
I feel crazy. Do you understand how many times I've had to mute the word cliff? Also, I have been dropping so many hints towards this. In previous times that we've recorded podcasty things, you'd be like, yeah, what's Akito gonna do? Akito's gonna mess up Tohru. When we watch the trailer and stuff,
yeah.
You're like, I bet Akito's just gonna go crazy. And I'm like, yeah, Akito might yeet her off a cliff. And all of the spoiler tag comments would be like, Allie, you did not just do that.
To be fair.
Akito didn't throw her, but it was still I kept hinting cliffs to you a lot while talking about Toru's life being in danger. And you just never picked it up, and it was the most glorious thing I've ever experienced.
I mean, who would be
No, I know.
She's just gonna fall off a cliff.
But the rate in which I made this joke, I thought you would have picked up on it.
Well, I didn't. So the episode starts out with Akito approaching Tohru.
Super safe, super calm.
Yeah,
love
super calm, cool, collected.
Live, laugh, love it.
Just wants to chat.
Yes, yeah, just wants to have a nice chat. She says that it's over and the end is here. Really good chat.
Which I love that she says that.
You're finally getting answers.
Yes.
You're a big fan of that.
I'm a big fan of that. There's far less to theorize about after this episode.
Yeah.
There's a significant amount that I cannot theorize about, except for what Toru's dad could possibly look like.
Yeah.
And Kakeru's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, well, ignoring that. So, we'll see if it gets cut. So, Tohru is reflecting on what happened with Kyo, and she says that his eyes were the worst part. They were screaming so loudly, I'm sad. And it hurt her even more than thoughts of her mom.
Which, again, is kind of illustrating as this episode continues to really touch on how she's moving past her feelings of her mother and that striving to maintain any vestige of that bond.
Mm-hmm.
And then she proceeds to hear her mother say in unison with Akito, "Will you move on and leave me behind?"
Mm-hmm.
And Tohru knows how it feels to be left behind.
Yeah.
To such an amazing degree, not only by her father, but by her mother.
Yeah. And, her grandfather didn't leave her behind, but he was kind of if there's somewhere that you'd rather be, go be with your friends.
Yeah.
So he, gave her his blessing to leave him behind, but still, that idea of...
Yeah.
Just being alone. And she lived in a tent.
Yeah, I don't know how that, cleared. The lack of oversight on this girl to get away with living in a tent.
Oh, Tohru, honey.
You know,
she gives herself the least and gives everyone else the most. Okay, before I cry again, then we get the opening.
Yes.
And then you get your Yuki scenes.
I love Yuki, and I love how just frustrated he is this whole scene.
Yes.
This season has had a stark lack of Yuki, and I'm not here for it, but also it's been phenomenal. But he runs into Shigure. Shigure absolutely reeks of alcohol because he'd been drinking all night with his author buddies, you know. Yuki proceeds to sass. We love a sass.
We love a sass.
We love a sassy rat. And he calls Kyo an idiot in a multitude of different ways.
Yeah, we got a great big idiot and...
my personal favorite was a colossal idiot.
Ah, that's a good one.
Ooh, it was zesty. It was a zinger.
Yeah, and
Chef's
I love
kiss.
He doesn't call Kyo by name. He's just like, "Where's the idiot? The great big idiot? The colossal idiot?" And she's like,
"Oh, Kyo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It took me a second.
Haven't seen him.
I know who that is."
But he doesn't even know the details. Like, he saw kind of what happened, but he didn't hear the conversation at all. And I think that this is important to note. Also, I didn't even realize he ran the wrong way in the last episode.
Oh, you didn't?
No. But, like, all he knows is that he made Tohru cry and that he's an idiot, which, like, mood.
I mean, anyone who makes Tohru cry is an idiot.
Yeah.
In my book.
Yes.
Yes. Back to someone who's gonna make Tohru cry. So, Akito.
Yes.
So, Akito says that Tohru won, and now Akito is the outsider because all of the Zodiac now likes Tohru more, which means that Akito is feeling like she's alone, a mistake, an outcast, and the bad guy. So she's like really on the Tohru hate pages right now. Like, she is leaving hate comments all over Tohru. She's ticked. She's on like guru gossip. Like, I hate Tohru.
Stop. Oh my gosh. It's really late, guys.
It's like 1 a.m.
It is 1 a.m. right now. Oh gosh, we're giddy. I'm hopped up on Lucky Charms.
You had a whole bowl of Lucky Charms. Anyway, we're like on a deep part of this episode.
No, yeah. So, at this point, Tohru finally figures out what's kind of been making Akito tick this whole time. Like, she didn't realize it before, but it's because Akito was so lonely and she just wouldn't let anyone see it.
Yeah, so ever since Akito was born, she was viewed as special and someone above the circle instead of in it, which Tohru views as just another form of being abandoned. And Tohru really empathizes with this because, ooh, name drop, Fruits Basket. When she played Fruits Basket with her class, she sat and watched everyone else play. She was not a part of it. And that's just like how we see Akito sitting, watching all of the Zodiac members be friends. Both of them feel left out.
Yeah. I feel like it kind of like represents, like, in my life, the closest I can equate it to is like a workspace. Like, oftentimes, like, the workers won't be friends with the boss. All the workers will be friends, but the boss is just the one up top that everyone kind of, like, maybe you're friendly with them, maybe you don't like them, but you're never gonna be on that level.
Yeah.
With them. So I feel like a lot of times the boss gets excluded, and that's exactly the situation with the Zodiac. God's the boss. God's never going to be on that level, never going to have that same relationship. They have to be kind and, like, chill with the boss or they get fired. They have to be chill with God because they have these eternal bonds. And so I never thought of it like that, but it makes so much sense.
Yeah, I mean, low-key, you kind of theorize this, so I will give you a pat on the back. You forget all of your theories, so, but you were like, I feel like Akito feels lonely or left out, and you did mention this before in a previous podcast, that you were like, oh my gosh, I feel like Akito, because she's God, like, she's just not on the same level as everyone.
Yeah.
You said something kind of similar. My memory's also hazy, but I remember being like, don't spoil it, Allie.
Which, like, I totally remember saying that. But no, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
That in this context, because everyone is tied to you, but not to each other, they can create organic relationships with one another.
Mm-hmm.
They're forced into a relationship with you, and that's never going to be the same. It's always going to feel begrudged, and it's lonely at the top.
Yep, that's the saying. That's the one you referenced.
Yes.
Yes! It's all coming back to me. But yeah, and so then after we get some internal monologue, we get some talking, Tohru gets some slashes, which seeing blood is just like, Tohru's blood, don't like.
And especially the fact that, so I didn't catch this the first watch through.
Okay.
But she keeps going at Akito without saying anything. It seems like she's saying something because we hear her internal monologue. But like, I don't know, that was just very visceral for me, and it almost made me uncomfortable because it's almost Tohru in like a stupor, just like trying to get to Akito to comfort her, likely.
Yeah.
But Akito sees this as an assault, really illustrating how they're on two completely different wavelengths.
Yeah,
and
both of them are emotionally not okay right now. Like, both of them just hit their lowest points.
Yeah. And so Akito is not only emotionally defending herself, but she is physically defending herself. And she is ready to harm Tohru if she gets too close in either capacity.
Yeah. But then after Tohru says a couple things, Akito drops the knife and then goes in for the slaps.
Which, it almost, even though it's much less brutal, it feels more personal.
Yeah.
Like, this is Akito in pure desperation.
Yeah. And Akito brings up not wanting false sympathy, which really reminds me of Kakeru again. We brought up last episode when Kakeru was like, why even bother talking to someone like that if you don't really care for them? Like, you're just giving them false hope of a relationship or something along those lines. I don't have the exact quote like I did last time, but basically, don't bother them if you're not really there for them.
Yeah, like, because I love how we can keep going back to that moment when he's talking to Yuki, because when you do give that genuine, unconditional positive regard, that's a phrase that we use in counseling all the time, then it can unlock so many doors when working with, if you're in like a counseling setting, a client, if you're giving that unconditional positive feedback, not judging them, completely like taking what they're saying at face value and accepting them for who they are as an individual and for their experiences, and wanting to help them work through that in a genuine capacity. That's what Tohru does. Like, to equate her to a counselor, she does that with everyone she comes in contact with. And I think that's her greatest strength as a character, is that she brings out the best in the people around her. In every way, she truly wants to see them be the best that they can be, regardless of what they've done in the past. And that's why so many of these characters that have come in contact with her have been able to grow, because they finally got that unconditional positive regard that maybe they haven't experienced up to this point. And that gives them the strength, like Yuki, like Rin, to kind of move forward and kind of past some of their difficulties. It's not erasing the difficulties by any mean, but it helps to have that shoulder to lean on.
Yeah, that mom to guide you along. Just rooting for you all the time.
The mother of the Zodiac.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh. But okay. So then Tohru we get some of her inner monologue, her thoughts. She thinks that Akito wants an unchanging future because she's scared to be alone. Which, I mean, she's not wrong.
Very on point, Tohru.
Very on point. But she does that too.
Yeah.
She's the same way.
She's the exact same.
Yeah, and so Tohru says out loud to Akito, she's like, I'm dirty. I'm the same. And she says that she rejected Akito's eternity, but she wanted her own unchanging feelings and bonds. Which, okay, let me just bring it back.
Okay.
Back in season 2,
okay.
I asked you if you think when we were specifically talking about Tohru and Kyoko,
Yeah.
if you think that bonds can sometimes be harmful to you,
Yeah.
and at the time you said, no, I don't think that this would be. Obviously, she's grieving for her mother. It's understandable. And I think that parental love that's a good bond. And I agreed with that.
Yes.
However, do you see how it can kind of get a little bit bad, specifically for Tohru? I mean, I know that you do in a counselor setting, but in this anime, do you?
No, like 100%. And so I guess it kind of depends on what you define a bond as.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, obviously there are healthy versus unhealthy bonds. Like, in this instance, we see her, like, really using the imagery of her walking away from her mother a lot.
Yes.
Do I think that completely severs her bond with her mother? Like, the bond that she's had her entire life? Personally, I don't think so. It's just changed now.
Yeah.
Like, she still has a connection with her mother, but she let that bond and clutching on to that go to an unhealthy degree. So I think that she still does have a bond with her late mother, but now it's going to evolve into something a bit more healthy. Do I think that she still has a right to mourn the loss of her mother?
Yeah.
Yes, 1,000%. Mourning loved ones is so normal. Everyone does it.
Yeah, and it's not like mourning has to end after 1 year. I mean, in several cultures outside of our little America bubble, people mourn every single year. Like, they have entire days dedicated to it, and I think that's really healthy and good.
Yeah, but it's when it becomes your identity to mourn this loss. That's where she kind of got it twisted. Mm-hmm. So, like, I admit that I kind of was wrong, but I kind of stand by it a little bit.
You didn't have context.
Yes.
But yeah, the idea of an unchanging feeling and bond, where like even if they're not there anymore, that you still have the bond exactly
as though
the
they're
same.
Still there.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's not good. They need to change. They need to evolve, just like anything else.
Mm-hmm.
You need to take that bond like it's a Bulbasaur. You need to turn it into a Venusaur.
Oh.
Yeah, evolve.
Pokemon.
That's a Pokemon reference.
I didn't know.
Skip right over Ivysaur.
Lord, okay.
But then she admits to her mother that she's fallen in love with someone. Mm-hmm. As she's kind of, again, they're showing that image of her walking with her mom. But she's not going to stand still anymore, because that's essentially what she's been doing. And she's going on ahead. Yeah,
like emotionally, she was standing still.
Yeah.
Like in her progress of her mindset and grief and like...
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she never reached acceptance. She was literally standing still in
denial. It was essentially, she was steadfast in denial.
Oof. Ouch.
But then I love the scene of her walking forward and going on ahead. I don't know why, but that just... her letting go of her mother's hand as a young girl and starting to walk forward. It's one of the most impactful scenes, in my opinion, in the show so far.
Yeah.
Because that perfectly illustrates, like, what she has needed to do this whole time.
Mm-hmm. And I love specifically that it was her in, I'm pretty sure that was her middle school uniform, and not in her high school uniform like she was when her mother passed. So she's not remembering the time in which her mother passed away. She's remembering, like, regressing back to those really happy middle school memories when they would break the watermelons together and they would have so much fun. And just, like, the bliss of childhood and not staying up all night to study for a test and missing her mom so she can say goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so then after the walking scene, then she once again repeats that people can't be bound forever, neither can their feelings. And that was really important for Akito to hear because she's kind of been trying to bind their feelings to her too, and that's just not attainable. That just can't happen.
Yeah, and she even points out that Akito has been sad, miserable, and just so lonely, And while she's saying this, we see Akira.
Mm-hmm.
And with the death of Akira and the death of Kyoko, both of them screech to a standstill.
Yeah.
And so the parallels between these two characters are just bludgeoned over your head. Because while they're two sides of a coin, it's the same coin.
Yeah.
They both have gone through very similar life experiences and are in very similar places, but they're the same. Like, I love how much context I think it's the poster for this season is given. And I think at the beginning of the season, I don't know if we said this on podcast or if this was just a you and me conversation, but I said how they're kind of like a yin and yang.
Mm-hmm. You did say that on the podcast, yeah.
And I 1,000% like stand by that. And now I even think it's even more vilified because there's a little bit of darkness in Tohru.
Yes.
And now there's a little bit of light in Akito.
Yes.
And they make each other complete because they kind of fill in. I'm assuming this is what's going to happen past year, but now that they spoiler alert for the end of the podcast, they are developing a relationship. I imagine. I think that they're going to help each other grow and develop from this point forward.
Yeah, because, like, Tohru had not admitted that maybe her bond wasn't healthy until Akito.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't put that together.
She didn't verbalize it. She was ready to move on for Kyo.
Yeah, but she didn't understand, like, to what degree it was unhealthy for her to do that.
Until she looked into a mirror and saw herself.
Oh my god, it was a mirror.
Yeah, it was 100% a mirror.
Oh.
And so Akito screams, I don't want to be abandoned or left behind.
Yeah, yeah. And so then Akito runs off, and these scenes really mirror season 1, episode 1 that are coming up here. So when Akito is running across that like little log bridge situation, we saw Tohru run across that season 1, episode 1. Mm-hmm. When they're standing on like that one cliff, the angle, very similar to when Tohru was overlooking the city when she was going to school, season 1, episode 1. Like, and then the tent, seeing the tent so many times, they really showed you that tent. And we have a little comment that John came up, so smart, but we'll get there. But yes, just all of the mirroring is so amazing, going back to these same areas from season 1, episode 1. And just seeing Toru's trash tent also really hurts. Because it's like sticking up, the poles like sticking up out of the ground. It's so just messed up.
Yeah, because you can kind of see where Yuki and his random army of rats that never shows up again kind of dug it up.
Yeah.
And how, like, where they got the stuff out, but it's just unburied enough to get the stuff out. Mm-hmm. And then we hear Akito say, I can't live surrounded by strangers alone without any guarantee that I'll be loved. The world scares me.
Yes. That line is nuts.
Which, I think that's a fear that is not self-contained to the god of a zodiac. I think that's such a human fear that I think everyone has had at some point in their life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I felt that way when I started college, and you go in absolutely knowing no one. You have a roommate you've never met before. Like, you know no one there. And you're like, how can I go into this situation without being guaranteed that I'll even have one friend?
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
When it comes down to it, like, there aren't guarantees. Mm-hmm. Unless you put in the effort, it won't fall into your lap, typically. Mm-hmm. This happiness, this idea that you will be loved, it won't fall into your lap. You need to put in that effort and kind of stand on your own 2 feet and move towards that. And I'm not saying that's easy. Everyone's situation is completely different, and it can be incredibly difficult to do that for a lot of people, and I don't want to dismiss that at all. Mm-hmm. But there is no guarantee that that will happen, and the world is a very scary place.
Yeah.
And so now that this individual who has been raised her entire life with that guarantee that she will have that safety net, those bonds, those ropes holding her down. Like, when all of those are cut loose, like, she'd be in a free fall.
Yeah.
And she sees the writing on the wall that she has nothing once these bonds are broken. She doesn't have family. She's the family head, but when she's not God anymore, like, would she be outed as being a woman and therefore kicked out of the role as family head? Like, literally everything could probably be ripped out from under her.
Yeah. And it's not like she asked for any of this. It was forced upon her at a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. It's just very unfair. And no wonder why she's so scared. But so Tohru wants to be that shining light, of course. We love her. She wants Akito to begin again with her and to meet again. And she introduces herself and asks Akito's name. And it is so sweet. And Akito high five slaps the hand away. I love that she like essentially high fives her. It's just so funny. But yeah, she slaps the hand away. And she claims that Tohru's just gonna throw her out of her life once Akito complains or makes a fuss or does something that Tohru doesn't like. Because that's how Akito has always felt about herself, that people will just leave her, or she didn't verbalize this in this episode, but with the last episode, pity her like Kureno did, and not even know if that's real love there, or if it's just like pity love to stick around and look down on her. She just assumes that Tohru's going to look down on her and leave once she complains.
Yeah, she even calls her condescending at some point in this conversation. Because everyone, in her mind, looks down on her.
Yeah. And this is when we get symbolism time with Allie. So I debated for a long time in this scene with Tohru and Akito when Tohru sits down next to Akito if these camellias are just like a really shaded white with like lots of contrasty grays in it to make it look like really intense lighting, or if they were pink. I have landed on white after reading the symbolism of both. White camellias symbolize adoration, and it's given to someone who is very well liked. And so considering the scene, I feel like they fit way better because pink are more like for I miss you and longing, which like I could kind of see that. Like I missed you my whole life, I needed this, but like white just fits better because this is the moment that Akito finally makes her first friend.
Yes. Which throughout this whole episode, as Akito's kind of talking to Tohru, something kind of subtle that I've noticed is that if you look at Akito's eyes, like the irises and the pupils, they start out much smaller than anyone else's eyes in the show. But as the episode goes on and she starts like kind of being opened up by Tohru, you see her eyes getting bigger and bigger. The irises, much more like Tohru's or Yuki's or Kyo, like, you know?
Yeah.
Which I think they do such an awesome job at conveying where a character is at, specifically Kyo and Akito with their eyes. And so now that Akito's eyes are so much larger, there's so much more color there, there's so much more to see, and it illustrates kind of this change in where she's at mentally.
Yes. And as Akito reaches for Tohru, she falls. And we get that cliff scene. That cliff is high.
It's high.
I have like a bad issue with depth perception, so like maybe I'm crazy, but I don't remember it being that high in the manga.
I can't speak for the manga, but it's high.
Yeah, like, oh god, Tohru. And Akito is screaming for help, and all the while, Tohru's inner thoughts are about Akito, and it just hurts, because she's saying, like, don't worry, the scary times are over, you made it.
Oh.
Yes.
Which is, like, in a way, preceding the scary times are about to be over, and we are about to make it through. But in this moment, I was like, there's no way that they're killing off Tohru. Like, there's no way. They didn't.
No.
But, like, they firmly presented that as a possibility.
Yeah. Before we ever started this podcast, when we were watching season 1, just like, I just showed it to you for fun kind of thing.
Yeah.
I brought it up to you and I was like, hey, just because it's a shoujo, don't think that people can't die, okay? Like, I know you're used to your battle shonens, but don't think that people can't get injured. Like, there could be blood. And you were like, okay, Allie. But I needed to plant that seed in your head because I wanted you to think that Tohru might die here. I needed you to think it and to be truly worried for her.
I am so glad they didn't end on a cliffhanger with, oh no. Oh no.
Welcome to why manga readers keep laughing every time there's a cliffhanger.
Oh, that's awful.
I know.
Also, shout out to Akito's voice actress, because
yes.
dang, I'm sorry, I don't know who it is. I don't know the name, but they did a phenomenal job in the English dub.
Yes.
Like, really phenomenal.
Yes.
As did Laura Bailey, Toru's voice actress. Like, all around, I love the English dub. Yeah. I love the Japanese voice actors as well, but like, I really, probably because I was introduced to it through the English dub, I really resonate with them.
Yeah, and I have to give a quick shout out. I need to watch the sub still, but I've been hearing that Kyo's voice actor in the sub did a phenomenal job. So can't wait to listen to that and cry my eyes out, but I've watched the dub twice. I still have to watch the sub.
Yeah.
But yes, anyways, okay. So while Tohru is having all of these thoughts, she's clinging to her consciousness. She's gravely injured, but she continues to nurture and uplift people. Like, she's not thinking, uh-oh, like, worried about me, like, I am bleeding everywhere. She's thinking, Akito, the scary times are over for you. Isn't that so good? Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
She's so kind.
Because even when, like you said, almost everything was taken from her, she's still giving everything that she has. Just like a little story that we talk about a lot. I am so happy that you really resonated with this story, because I knew this was going to happen. The Idiot Traveler.
Yes.
Like, this quite literally is the end of that story. Because at the end of The Idiot Traveler, the traveler gives away everything. Akito, who later calls her stupid in this episode, is the one who is screaming for help, giving her that gift, essentially to keep living. Because if Akito had just not told anyone, no one would have found her. She would have died. Yeah, Akito making that personality change, that growth, to being like, no, this person needs help. Yeah. Not, I would like to hurt people who wrong me in my mind. Yeah. No, I want to help. That switch. So after she gave everything, she got that gift. Yeah, and it was a sincere gift and not a you're an idiot note that she can't read. Yes. Thankfully. So it's deviating from the story in the best way possible. And oh my gosh, it's so good. Yes, and Akito's screaming and everyone faintly hears her in the distance. She runs up to Shigure and Yuki saying that Tohru needs help. And this part is so notable to me because I've heard murmurs on the internet throughout the years. I hear people saying that Akito's development happened too fast. I don't agree, because when Akito calls Tohru by her name in this moment and not like the ugly woman or whatever she used to call Tohru, this cements that change in her personality for me. That like first step towards being like Tohru. Like that's who it is. And it's crazy. Yeah, and like I can see why people might think that this personality change was kind of fast. But if you think about it, all Akito has ever wanted was like a genuine relationship, not to be lonely, to have that bond. And she's leaned so hard on the crutches of the curse to give her that. But she knew. Like, she's not stupid. Yeah, especially after 3 people lose their curse. You kind of pick that up pretty quick that it's coming to an end. She knew. Yeah, and even before that, I'm sure that she knew that this wasn't something that they were bought into. It was something that they were forced into. And so while it was comforting and a nice safety net, I think that when someone actually reached out to her to give her a good relationship, something that she's not had since her father.
Yeah.
I think that spurred something in her that was like, there is hope for the future, even if the curse breaks. And so while it could be seen as like, this was a drastic character shift, I don't think it was. It just means that she wasn't so far gone that she couldn't think straight.
Yeah, and I mean, she's pretty in tune with her emotions at this point because she sure gave a good rant to Kureno in one of the previous episodes. Like, she knew what was going on in her head, and Kureno just wasn't the answer because he already pitied her at one point. So she didn't feel comfortable in him saying, like, no, I'll be there for you. Because, like, she doesn't know his intentions. But with Tohru, this is new, this is fresh. She's heard murmurs that Tohru has helped others and that she's been that person for them. Mm-hmm. And now Tohru's that person for her too.
And so she lashed out against Kureno with violence. Mm-hmm. But she was exhausted now.
Yes.
And so, like, and she'd been running for a very long time, so while she probably didn't, like, fully cool down, she was still probably in full panic, fight or flight mode when she got to Tohru. She wasn't as Shigure later in the episode so eloquently puts it, stabby.
Yeah. Jeez.
She was able to more reasonably take in the situation, so I think it makes sense.
Yeah. Take that, internet haters from 2010 or whatever.
We coming for you 11 years later.
But yes, I love that Shigure asked the question that literally every single Zodiac member would wonder, which is, did you push her?
Fair question.
Very fair question. But she obviously didn't, and another big defining moment, she admits to stabbing Kureno. Big step, because even a year later, after Rin had been pushed by Akito, she was still gaslighting people and being like, where'd you hear that? I didn't do that. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
Like,
so she's now admitting her faults, admittedly to the person that if she's going to trust, it's going to be Shigure. Like, they have a very fascinating relationship.
That's a good word for it.
But he is the person within the Zodiac that she is objectively closest with, even if it is kind of that love-hate dynamic. Mm-hmm. But then Yuki comes across his mama laying at the bottom of the cliff after he'd called for help, after leaving Akito and Shigure. And her tent, again, it's in the back of the shot, which I love how they keep panning to that tent and making sure that it is there. Yeah, they don't even show Tohru's body while Yuki is looking at her. They just show the crumpled tent. Mm-hmm. Great direction. I love that. The art direction in this entire show really is so good. So good. But then Shigure calls Hattori. He gets all the updates. Good news. Kureno is okay. He's not gonna die. I'm shook. Well, actually, I'm not shook because it didn't look like she stabbed anything that vital. Like, she might have, like, someone said in the comments that it looked like it was close to his spine. I think it was, like, just to the side, so maybe it, like, nicked his spine or something. But it didn't look like it was close to any, like, crazy vital organs. So I'm not surprised that he survived. But I don't know. Yeah. But Kyo overhears that little phone call and hears that Tohru fell off the cliff. Not great. So he runs. Another woman that he loves going flying. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There it is. And this scene of him running is animated so well. Yeah, it was like, out of all scenes, to just like perfect the running and the little trip. Yes. It's so good. I just noted that. Well, we both did. We were just like, whoa, that scene was nuts. Yeah. So, yes, 10 out of 10. Love that little running scene. And when he reaches Yuki, when Yuki stands up, his fists are clenched. Oh, like, I didn't even notice that. Oh, yeah. They're clenched. And it is taking everything in him to stay cool right now. And he's like, don't touch Tohru. Like, she fell. She might have a concussion kind of thing. Like, she hit her head pretty hard. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Yuki's not a big fan. But he's doing very well in a crisis situation.
Yeah.
Like, he
is.
immediately called for help as he was running to her. Very efficient.
Yes.
And he assessed the situation and said, don't move her, because you could do more damage than good. Which, Yuki, love you, man.
The best.
Go, Yuki.
But then Kyo is surveying Tohru's situation as well, and he gets the blood on his hands just like he had in his nightmare.
Oh my god.
Yeah. He had a nightmare about this.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
So he's like, oh my god, my nightmares are coming true. And it's not just like the image of her lying there, but also the blood. And it's like the same way too.
And, oh my gosh, the blood of her mom was under his feet, and now the blood of hers is on his hands.
Oh my god, don't do that to me.
And it's like even more symbolic, because like in the dream, like he had blood on his hands because he would think that it was his fault, like with the other two. And now he has blood on his hands in his mind, because if he hadn't run away, in his mind, this is his fault.
Yeah.
So he most literally and metaphorically has blood on his hands.
Oh god. Okay. Speaking of my entire world breaking down, Tohru's inner monologue begins here.
Which you need to take this away.
Okay, so first of all, I never want to say that I'm scared that they're not going to include something, but this was one where I was like, if they even change a word, I'll freak out. So,
Fair.
Yes. So when she's specifically hearing the crying, she doesn't even know if it's Akito or Kyo, but she says, don't cry, please don't cry anymore. She doesn't know who it is, but she's like, please don't cry, because that's just who she is. And later on in her monologue, she says, maybe all I brought you was frustration and pain. Being near me hurt you. My feelings hurt you. And the idea of her processing that her love may have caused pain for Kyo is devastating for me. That made me, like, stupid hysterically cry. I can't handle that.
I, couldn't see half of this episode.
Yeah.
Through tears.
Yeah. It was bad. And then we get to the part where they really try and make you think that she's gonna die. Like, she's walking towards the light, like, I might not be here anymore, but please keep living kind of thing. She goes, even if you can't believe it right now, keep living. I want you to live. It's okay if you make mistakes or take the long way around. Don't stop moving forward. Keep walking. Even if I'm not by your side, keep walking. Emphasis on the walking.
And in the memory world, which this, really was they're actually going to kill Tohru.
Yeah.
Because she stopped walking.
Yeah, she stopped walking.
And let him go on ahead. Because her mom stopped walking, illustrating that she left her dead mother behind. Mm-hmm. And now she stopped walking. I was like, guys.
Yeah.
Why are people such big Kyoru shippers when all it is pain? I get it now that she's not dead.
Yeah.
But if she was dead,
it would be just pain.
It wouldn't be a Kyoru shipper. That ship would drown in tears.
Also, I don't know if you noticed this, but in her flashbacks, when she is doing her inner monologue, she remembers that scene where she was crying on the roof after the Momiji Momo episode. Mm-hmm. Okay, I asked you why she started crying, and you didn't really have an answer. Here's the answer. She literally told you she couldn't stand the thought of not being with Kyo anymore. Mm-hmm. And she couldn't handle that emotion. And so when Kyo was like, well, if you ever do find love, if you ever get a boyfriend, I'll support you. And the idea of him not being around, not being her boyfriend, just supporting her from afar.
Because she said that she loved him ever since the True Form arc.
Yes.
Way back when. Which, I feel like is pretty... You'd have to run after him like that. Which her running after him in that episode looks a lot like him running after her in this episode.
And also her running after Akito too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of running.
Yeah. But then we see that she's conscious just for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And she promises that it's okay.
Yeah, and she wants to know if he can hear her and if she's reaching him.
Because his last memory of Kyoko is that she wouldn't forgive him.
Yeah, and Tohru doesn't want to do that to him, to be like, I won't forgive you, or give that, like, one last bad memory. She wants something positive for him.
And she's making sure that she can reach him, because I think in her heart she still believes that it's like a kind of a misunderstanding that her mom might have said that, maybe.
Yeah.
So she wants to make sure that nothing is getting lost in translation.
Yeah. And in her mind, like, when she started this whole inner monologue, she was like, I have to chase after Kyo. I have to reach Kyo.
Yeah.
So she wants to know if she can reach him.
Mm-hmm.
Cry on command. Let's go. No. Because then we get the kiss.
Ooh.
You got your wish. We didn't end the whole series on a kiss. We waited a couple episodes before the end.
Thank the Lord. It still took way too long.
I mean, I agree.
It still took way too long. But I accept.
Yes.
And because they did it really phenomenally.
Yes.
I think that the payoff was worth it, even though I could have done with a little bit more dating. But I digress. We can watch, like, Wotakoi for that. But yeah. And so this scene in particular, when the light starts shining down on them, it's framed really perfectly because it shows them kissing on one side in the light, and then the huge mound of dirt that's buried her tent on the other side of the screen. Which, like, the tent being buried is like her past.
Yo.
Like being buried in the dirt. Like, it's gone. That life, like her being desperate to get her mother out of that tent, is in the past. She's able to let go, unlike in the first episode. And now her future is that light shining down with Kyo.
Yeah, and like, I know it seems kind of sad that her future is her laying slightly going into unconsciousness on the ground, but this is the moment where the scary times are over. This is when we begin the healing. Yes. In my mind. But yes, I want to note the sunrise, because this also mirrors that sunrise from the True Form arc, because opposite of the sunset, meaning that their time is drawing to a close, this is another one of those catalyst moments where we see that their time together is starting anew. So she realized that she loved Kyo during that first sunrise. She was like, this is it. Like, I love him. I ran after him. We're hugging. The sun is rising. He's transforming into a cat.
He's transforming into a cat.
And now, during this sunrise, she's starting this healing process. Things are changing. Like Akito said, it's coming to an end. So, yeah. We got a new outlook on the future. But bring me to Yuki. Let's go.
Okay. Yuki's at the hospital like the good boy he is. And Toru's grandpa tells him not to skip school, head home, because Toru wouldn't want him to. She'd fret over him.
Oh, yeah. And so, then he also wants to know where Kyo is. Where is Kyo? Because all Yuki says is, he's ... Like, we don't get to know. So what do you think's going on there?
I think that... Okay, so we see him, and it looks like he's at Shigure's house, right? And he's just kind of hanging out in the window. I wonder if he is... I'm not sure. Like, to be completely honest, I wonder if he's, like, preparing the house for Toru to get back, maybe? I'm really not sure. Maybe he's telling Hanajima and Uotani kind of what happened? I don't know. Those are just... I'm spitballing here.
Okay.
I'm absolutely spitballing.
I'll take it. But then we also see the Zodiac members' reactions to Toru. Not all of them, but some of the ones who are a little bit closer to her. And specifically, I want to point out Rin here, because Rin knew that something like this would happen. Because she said that Tohru and Hatsuharu are both way too kind, and she doesn't want to see either of them get hurt by Akito, and she wanted to push Tohru away for that exact reason. She didn't want her to get hurt. And here we are. So Rin is just devastated, and this scene of her, it hurts.
Yes. Like, just balled up in the floor, head in her arms.
She's taking it hard. But,
Where's Haru?
Ah.
Go being a cow.
Being a cow.
Just being a cow.
We're falling apart. It is almost 2 a.m. Alright, so now we get the scene that wrecks me every single time I even think about it, because it is my best boy Momiji. And And we really get to see that Utani's comparison between Kureno and Tohru, it's spot on.
Very spot on.
Yeah, same breed of, I think she called them the same breed of stupid, but like in a kind way, like you're both the same type of person.
No, yeah. Which they are.
They are.
In different ways, but like they are.
Yeah, they'll both just be like, oh, you hurt me, it's okay. Don't cry.
They're like the same genus, not the same species. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm picking it up.
That's a biology reference.
I love biology references. Thanks, Dr. Stone.
But when Akito goes to visit Kureno, he asks if she's okay. And I love this moment. I love every moment in this episode, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
But this moment stands out to me for the fact that she has the self-awareness to not tell him that she's not okay. Because she knows that Kureno, because he's his special breed of stupid, he would continue to stand by her.
And that's just not a good idea.
No.
And she knows that now.
No.
And she's starting to question it, like, are they idiots? Like, why are they just so okay with this? And Momiji says, good thing, right? Thanks to those 2 idiots, you won't get judged for your crimes. And at this point, Momiji's kind of on the offensive, like taking shots at Akito, like, how dare you do this? Like, this is all your fault. Obviously, you're the worst.
And he even goes as far as to say, like, with a lot of venom in his voice, idiots do have their uses, don't they?
Yeah. And it's like, if Momiji's mad at you, then like, oh my god.
Like, you really, like, need to take a long, hard look at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah. But in this case, flipping it around, Momiji starts to realize that Akito is having a change of heart. So Momiji picks this up because Akito starts breaking down. And thank God he's the one talking to Akito. Thank Akito. But, okay.
Shut up.
Thank Akito. That he's the one talking to Akito.
Yes.
Because he's the most emotionally intelligent in my mind. And he is
100%.
Yes, he is like the best person to be talking to her right now. Because like, if Rin was talking to her, that wouldn't work out well. Akito has severely wronged Rin. Yeah, sure, Akito has hit Momiji. But like, when it comes down to it, Momiji was more hurt by his own curse and the idea that it separated him from his parents and his sister than he was by Akito.
Yeah.
It was just a little bit different.
Like, the only other person I think that could have had a remotely decent conversation with Akito is someone I don't even know if we've seen interact with Akito, and that's Ayame.
Yeah.
Ayame is pretty calm, cool, and collected when it comes down to it.
Ayame might be kind of ticked off that Akito hit Yuki with a vase last time, but you know.
Well, you know.
Ayame is still pretty like, I will deliver news to you and like serve you facts in a great way.
But overall, Momiji was the best person to do this, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Ritsu would have been a good choice.
Stop it. RMP or Ritsu counter?
It was just sad after a while, so we stopped it. It made us sad.
Well, Ritsu wasn't in any more episodes.
He's not monkeying around. Anyways, we go back to Akito talking about Kureno, and she's talking about how she doesn't want him to stand by her anymore, because the whole time, little by little, she realizes that she's the one who's been killing him, even though last episode, she said that he's the one who's been killing her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she realizes that he was just trying to give her that bond, that support, that help, even though it was a little bit misguided.
Mm-hmm.
And it was based on pity, and it did harm her in the long run.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that because he had not the most empathetic of actions that she should be killing him.
Yeah. And, like, she, in a way, if she had made him stand by her, she would have continued killing him. She would have continued stealing his life away from him. And so, not only, like, with the literal sense that she quite literally almost stabbed him to death, but yeah.
Yeah, and then Momiji tells Akito to treasure them, to treasure Kureno and Tohru. You can take care of them and treasure them for who they are. And his sweet smile here, and then he brings up that this is just like the Idiotic Traveler, and once you hear the story, you'll definitely want to go see Tohru. And this specific line is a standout line for me in the entire series, because every time I would ever hear you bring up the Idiotic Traveler, I would think of this line and Momiji saying it, and in the manga, how it is with the sky and those two on the right. Like, I just can't. It messes me up every time I think about it.
And I want to point out, because I feel like it could be perceived that he's grown much wiser.
Yeah.
In his years. Like, because, you know, he did act, like, kind of crazy when he was smaller, right?
Yeah.
But he was always like this.
Oh,
like,
always.
Like, when he brought up the Idiotic Traveler, that wasn't just, like, a little, like, this is a cute story that I want to tell. Like, he has known this from day one, that this was Tohru.
Yes.
And he has tried to get other people to see that. Kyo and Yuki in season 1, Akito now.
Mm-hmm.
And Momiji has been consistently the most emotionally intelligent and probably mature individual in this show, even though he kind of had that goofy, like, facade in a way, which I think he was a very fun-loving individual also.
Yeah.
The haunted house scene really takes the cake for that. But, like, he is kind of the heart and soul, in a way, of the show in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, think about his childhood. He was forced to take responsibility for things that weren't even his fault way too young. It was just not fair to put him in those situations. Mm-hmm. And so, being as wise and as emotionally intelligent as he is, don't you think that it makes sense that he took every single moment to enjoy his youth while he was still allowed to, and it was still okay?
Yeah, like, he wanted to wear, like, the girl student uniform.
Mm-hmm.
And so he did.
Yeah.
Like, because he wanted to.
Yeah.
Like,
he gave himself the opportunity to have fun when literally no one else would let him.
Yeah. And so I think it's really illustrated in that moment when he smiles and walks on a couple episodes back.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's still doing that. He's still trying to live life to its fullest, but now he's trying to find his own path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not just going to make do with what he's given anymore and make the best of it.
Yeah.
He's going to make his own path. I love Momiji. He's my favorite character.
He is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get Shigure and Hatori
Yes.
chatting about how Akito went to the hospital by herself and no one pressured her to go see those two.
Yeah. Big steps.
Big steps. Good quote.
Good quote. Maybe the stabbing spree was cathartic.
Shigure always has the bangers.
Oh my gosh. So awful, but so good.
I mean, it was. I mean, I don't
think that was the cathartic part for her.
Well, no, but like, it prompted the cathartic. I don't recommend.
Don't do this, actually. Disclaimer. No.
Yeah, disclaimer. If you're feeling upset, do not go on a stabbing spree. Highly recommended. Illegal in, I think, probably every country.
just about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
Maybe,
do
like,
that.
Go talk
Doesn't
to
even
someone.
matter. Maybe there is some country that we don't know about where it's legal. Still don't do it.
Bad idea.
Don't stab people. The moral of Fruits Basket. That's the show. Don't stab people.
I don't think that's the one. I mean, that's definitely one takeaway.
Don't stab people.
I don't think you need to be told that, though.
Trademarked.
Anyways, okay.
Don't be a fruit ninja. So it's here that Akito references Tohru sitting down next to her.
Yeah, and Tohru talked to her. She said, "There you are."
And it's from here that Hatori asks Shigure, did everything go to plan?
Yeah, and Shigure says that he's actually starting to feel a little bit remorseful, as he always does when he thinks of Tohru and how she makes him feel bad when he looks at her.
And like, some things didn't go quite to par, but we essentially find out what his plan was all along. Thank the heavens. Thank Akito.
Akito.
Yeah, well, we're literally thanking Akito, because without her change, his plan wouldn't have been a success.
That's what we were reading for the whole time.
Yes.
Shigure's plan.
Yes, I mean, kinda. I've been so curious.
Yeah.
But it was so that she wouldn't get left behind.
Yeah. And that's what he kept saying in the past few episodes. He was like, everyone's gonna leave me behind. They're gonna move on. Like, come on, Akito, please get with it. And here we go. Yeah, there you go. Akito moved on. She's not even in the state anymore. She went on her own.
Where are we going?
To the hospital.
And what happens in the hospital?
Tohru is so friendly and wonderful, and I love that we don't get to see her face. It gives me so much joy. You don't get to see her face.
Just like her father.
Oh my god. No, I truly love that in this scene we don't get to see her face yet. Like, you don't get to know yet. It's covered by the curtain. And we do get to see her smile though. And she's so happy when Akito walks in, and she's holding her arm out, and Akito's so bashful. She's like, I need my first friend. Like, she still likes me. Thinking of the story she just heard from Momiji.
Yeah, and she has Momiji's little bunny.
Yes. I love that he still loves bunnies. It was on his little handkerchief too.
I know!
I love that he still has a connection to bunnies.
Oh my gosh. And then the next episode comes.
Yes. I just love her. Curious that the dub didn't add in a voice the sub did, because I wanted to check. Like, I just skipped to the end. Like, okay, why did you do that, dub? But okay. One time they named an episode just Dog, so I don't really question anything anymore.
Dog. What up, dog? How's it doing? Shigure?
It's just a picture of Shigure and it's a dog. Okay. Anyways, yes.
We just
I
dapped right there.
You're cutting. Okay. The next episode is I Just Love Her. So, I mean, you heard the sub. Who sang it?
I don't recognize voices in the sub. I'm going with the educated guess of Kyo.
Clap, clap, clap.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't read the manga next chapter yet.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure it's Kyo.
But is there anything else that you want to talk about on this zesty episode of our Fruits Basket podcast?
She's long.
She's a long one this week. You guys said you wanted long, so we brought the thunder.
Yes. It's also 2 a.m. and I think we just don't know how to talk. We're loopy, we've had Lucky Charms, and we're just on something else. So I think it's a good time to go to bed.
Yeah, probably. So if you like this episode of our Fruits Basket podcast and you want to see more content like this coming from this channel, then make sure to like the video, subscribe, and why not even ring that notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure to check out our Teespring page for either our Hanukkah Toba or our crow design, because that is by far the best way to support our channel. And if you don't already, follow us on Twitter. Our links to that's in the description down below. It's fun. We make zesty tweets. But as always, we hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, a fantastic rest of your week, and why not even a fantastic rest of your month? And we will see you in the next video. Later.
See ya.